Hello, hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a March wrap up. I read 5 books this month, which is more than I thought it was by like 1, but still more than I thought. And it's going really great this year because I feel like I'm really choosing books that I know that I'm going to enjoy rather than books that I don't really know or I'm just trying out and then I end up giving low ratings. So this month was a really good reading month. The first book that I read this month was Storm and Fury by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is about a girl called Trinity who is half human and half something that they don't tell you until literally halfway through the book. And I can tell you right now that I guessed what it was at the beginning. It's not that hard. But anyway, they keep that a secret for the whole time. And she lives in a community of gargoyle wardens, which are protectors. And she has a bonded protector called Misha, whose sole job is to make sure that she stays alive. So in this community, demon attacks start becoming more frequent and they don't know why, they don't know what's causing them. And so these other wardens from a different community show up. And one in particular, Zane, takes a special interest in Trinity. But it's mutual. There's a mutual attraction, there's a mutual interest, and there's a mutual suspicion between them. And they ultimately end up teaming together to figure out what is going on with these demon attacks. I gave this book 4 stars. But here's the thing. This book literally went from almost a DNF to 4 stars, which is, I mean, that's quite impressive, to be honest. I started out and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get through this. The writing style, it is a mess. It's a mess. Okay, but only in like one aspect. I don't know if this is a genre. Is it urban fantasy? I don't know. I don't know what all the like subgenres are called or whatever. But I don't like when fantasies take place in modern times and of this world. One, because it's not much of an escape. Like, I'm reading fantasy to get out of this world. And 2, because they use like slang, vernacular that lets me know exactly what year this is. Like I could tell you exactly what year this book was written without looking it up, just based on the language that is used. And I don't like it. And then not only that, but there's like sayings that I'm like, nobody talks like this. So, I mean, it was a struggle and I literally was like, I'm not going to get through this. Like, I'm literally never going to make it through this if this is how they speak the entire time. It's so bad. But then, the chemistry between Zane and Trinity saved this book. 100% saved this book. I loved them. I loved them. Thankfully, the thing that I had a problem with was not really involved with the couple. It's not involved with the ship. It wasn't as obvious. So I was able to kind of overlook that and just get swept up in the romance of this. I mean, literally Zane and Trinity took this from a DNF to a 4. They really did. Like, so good. So good. I cannot explain how, why it is even possible when I hated the rest of the writing style, like why I was so invested in this, but I was, and I loved it. Tell me why. Tell me why. I could not. But that's how much I love this romance. That is how much, because I probably would not have finished. Literally, I was going to DNF and then Zane showed up and I was like, maybe I will continue. And I did. Spoiler alert, I did. The next book that I read was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is about a girl called Alex who can see ghosts, and it has really messed up her life. It has been such a burden to her that it has set her on a path that It's just not good. It's not good. It's not a good path for her, okay? She's gotten into some trouble because of it in trying to escape this trait that she has. And eventually she gets approached by this guy who wants to recruit her to go to Yale, because at Yale there are these secret societies or houses that there's like 8 houses, and each of them deal in like a different magical art. And they want Alex to be a part of the 9th house, which is basically they oversee the other 8 houses to make sure that they're following like the rules and guidelines. So like shady shit doesn't happen and they're not like, you know, killing people. So because of her special gift of seeing ghosts, they want her to be a part of this 9th house. So she goes to Yale, and the book is in 2 different timelines. The first one is the present day, which is like a murder mystery. Somebody's murdered on campus, and Alex basically has to investigate to see if one of the houses was involved. And the other timeline is from the perspective of Darlington, who is Alex's mentor in the 9th house. And it's basically when Alex first comes to the school and is like introduced to what she will be doing and a lot of world building, basically. I gave this book 4 stars. This is another case of like, I really did not like the writing style. I really did not. When it was going through the plot of like the actual book, loved it. Alex's backstory, loved it. What happened to her when she was 12? I'm still not over it. So good. So when it was going through the actual plot, loved it. Did not mind the writing style. But the world building part of this, particularly in the beginning, so dense. So dense. So many descriptions of buildings and people that had no relevance. And I just did not care. At that point, I was not invested enough to care. And it was so boring. It was so boring. And then they had like these, I don't want to say documents, but they're like, almost like journal entries from like previous people that had been a part of that, like alumni from the houses. And at one point I highlighted it because it said something along the lines of like, you're so excited to read it. And then you get 2 pages in and realize that it's just a bunch of detail and not any drama. And I was like, wow, they just summed up this entire book so far. So yeah, did not enjoy the first part and a lot of the writing style, but loved the actual story, loved the actual characters. The friendship between Alex and Dawes, yes, please. The potential relationship between Alex and Darlington, yes, please. I wish there had been more of that, which is why I was so interested by the end of the book for the setup of the second one, which I've already pre-ordered, because the second one set it up to be like, it was going to be exactly what I wanted this one to be about. So I'm intrigued. And now that I know what the writing style is, I will be much more prepared for the second one. So yeah, great characters, really enjoyed the plot, but the writing is somewhat dense, and I did not care for that. The next book that I read, which, should we be surprised? I don't know. Rage and Ruin by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the sequel to Storm and Fury because, like I said, can't stop, won't stop. So, I'm not going to say what this is about because obviously spoilers, and I just told you what the first book was about, but 5 stars. 5 stars. Oh my gosh. I loved this book. I loved this book. Does the writing get better? No. No, it does not. So if you're thinking like growth, no, it does not. However, I was so invested in Zane and Trinity, I didn't care. I overlooked it, did not care. This book uses all my favorite tropes. All my favorite ship tropes in one. The most notable being forced proximity. When I tell you that I screamed like just through the entire book, I pretty much did. I love them. Zane and Trinity, I love them. I love them. I almost threw this book into the fire by the end, because if you know, you know. But I think I set it up to where, like, it could be redeemable in the third. We're hoping, we're praying. I probably will put off reading it because I'm scared, okay? Because I loved them this much. Loved it. 5 stars. 5 stars. By far my favorite book that I read this month. By far. So the next book that I read was Capture the Crown by Jennifer Estep. This is about a princess called Gemma who is known for being like a pampered, spoiled princess. And that's not really who she is. That's just the image that she projects, because really she works as a spy. But this is not modern. I want to put that out there, because when I say spy, like, this is not like James Bond. This is not Alias, okay? She's not Sydney Bristow. This is like, it takes place in like the olden times, or at least it felt like it. You know how fantasies are. They never give a year, but you know. So she goes undercover in the mines in a different town in her kingdom because gemstones are being stolen. And so she goes undercover, and she ends up running into Prince Leonidas, and they have a very sordid past. Let's just say that. He betrayed her when they were kids during a massacre that his kingdom was inflicting on hers, where like family members died of hers. And she, rightfully so, has had some bitterness towards him, as you can imagine. And so when she sees him, she assumes that like he must be part of these stolen gemstones that are happening. But in a twist of events, she ends up saving him from death, and he feels indebted to her. So they team up to figure out what is going on. And 5 stars. I loved this. I knew nothing about this going into it, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think what I liked so much about it was, one, there were so many layers, because Gemma has really bad PTSD from what happened during the massacre. So you had Gemma's like emotional trauma, and then you had Leo's physical trauma. And together they were just, it was so good, because the whole thing's from Gemma's perspective, which bless, because you know I don't like multiple perspectives. But her, like, because Leo's so nice. Like, this version of him, because I think they're like 30 now, and the trauma happened when they were like 12. So this Leo is like so nice, and she really can't reconcile that with what happened when they were kids. So she's like, which version of him is which version of him is real? Which one is the genuine one? And can people change? Is he gonna betray me again? Does he even know who I am? Because like I said, she's undercover. So like, she changed her name and her appearance, and they haven't seen each other since they were 12. So she's like, does he know who I am? Is he gonna turn me in? Am I gonna be killed? Like, it's so good. The tension is so good. I was obsessed. I was obsessed. And I can't wait for the second one. Yes, please. Yes, please. And they both have animal companions. I mean, come on. This book, come on. And the last book that I read this month was aptly titled The Last Legacy by Adrienne Young. This is the spin-off of the Fable series, which I obviously love. I read them last year and was obsessed. This is following Bryn, who was a member of the Roth family, which if you read Namesake, that you would know is a family that deals with fake gemstones, but like they're really good at it. Anyway, so this is about Bryn, who when she was young, her parents were killed. And so she went to live with her great aunt away from this family and away from this life to kind of become this proper lady. And when she's 18, she gets sent back to the Roths, her uncle Henrik, and she's to join the family business. And she's so excited. She thinks it's going to be so great. She's finally going to have a family. She's going to have a place and a purpose. And she gets there and she basically, I don't want to say a prisoner, but yeah, her choices are extremely limited. She doesn't really have any, because her uncle is kind of a dictator and he controls everything that happens in this family. And so Bryn thinks that she's, you know, escaping this life with her great aunt where she's just going to be married off, and she comes here and she basically finds that the exact same thing is going to happen. And so her only ally in this house of family is this guy Ezra, who lives in the home, and he's the only one that's not actually related to her. And there's a romance, because of course there is. And so of course I loved it. I loved this. There's not a lot of action. If that's what you're looking for, there is not a lot of action. It is a lot of character study just about Bryn, about Ezra, about this family, and what's going on. There's not a lot of action. I would say 5 stars for sure, because I love a character-driven novel and when there's a ship involved. Like, yes, absolutely. I loved it. I loved it. I was so invested. But my problem with this book, and with all of these two as well, it's too short. It's too short. I would place this one, I liked it more than Namesake, but not more than Fable. I mean, Fable has my heart, so no, not more than Fable, but definitely more than Namesake. But this had the same issue where it was like, it's just not long enough. I wanted more. I wanted more. Is that a critique? I mean, I'm that person that, like, House of Earth and Blood, please give me 900 pages. Give me 900 pages of a book. That's what I want. So obviously, like, it was too short. I wanted it to be longer, and it kind of just like left. And I'm like, is there going to be another one? Because I want to know. I want to know what happens. I would not mind having more of their story. But yeah, I really, 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 really liked it. Really liked it. Yeah. So good. It was a good reading month. It was a good reading month. I had 3 5s and 2 4s. I mean, that's great. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for watching. Like always, I will probably include a clip of Kate and Lucy at the end because, I mean, they're the best. And, but yeah, thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe. That would mean so much. And, I'll see you next time. Bye. Come say hello. Don't drink my coffee. Say hi.